everyone, this is Beacon Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have another video for you, and this will be a review of the premiere episodes of Superman and Lois Season 4. Now there may be spoilers within this review, so just beware when going to this overall video, and you can check out my previous coverage of the show within the channel, and I'll leave some links within the description. Now just to quickly recap on the events from the Season 3 finale, which saw Lex Luthor recently released from prison, take control of the inverse Bizarro clone Superman from early on within the story, and we saw it manifest itself into basically Doomsday, and we saw an all-out battle with Superman eventually taking place on the moon. Now for anybody who doesn't know, this will indeed be the final season of the series, and this was amongst the DC transitioning of David Zaslav's takeover, which saw the cancellation of so many scripted programming, including the multiple CW DC superhero shows. And Superman and Lois overall, I think, was very fortunate to get a final season to be allowed to conclude its overall story, albeit this will be in a reduced capacity, with this season only being 10 episodes instead of the 13 that we previously got before. We will also see a reduction of the roles of the supporting characters. Again, this is another unfortunate result of having a constrained budget. So in terms of these two episodes, the first one picked up literally at the end of the Season 3 finale, where we saw the continued battle between Superman and Doomsday in space. Later on Earth, we see Lois, Jordan and Jonathan trying to come to grips with Clark's continued absence. Lex Luthor chooses to remain in Smallville with the intention of torturing Lois, first of all by kidnapping her father Sam, who Jordan later on rescues after Lex puts him underground. Later on throughout the episode, we see Doomsday defeating Superman in their battle, bringing his damaged body back to Earth, and we see the horrific moment where we see Doomsday actually ripping out Superman's heart. Now the second episode saw the race to save Clark as Lex's influence within Smallville continues to grow. Jordan foolishly exposes his own identity and also his family by going after Lex out in the open within a bar, and this proves costly, where again he rushes in to try and get Clark's heart back from Lex, but not listening to his brother, who clearly saw that this was a trap. We see Jordan come under attack by various guards, and then we get the truly traumatic sequence where we see Lex Luthor crushing Clark's heart right in front of Jordan. We later on see Lex's intentions even further to reconnect with his daughter, and he discovers that Sam knows the true location of where she is. And then we concluded the overall episode as we see Lois, Jordan and Jonathan coming to the final acknowledgement that Clark is indeed passing away. So I will say overall, as a 2-episode opener, I think overall this was quite good. We were dealing immediately with the previous cliffhanger, and it was good that it wasn't resolved straight away as what so many shows of this type would normally do. By having Superman's recovery not fixed quickly, this adds to the jeopardy, although of course we do know at some stage he will return. And I think these episodes carry that same somber emotional tone that the series has always had, but I think especially in its third season, which did carry an extra emotional weight due to the Lois cancer storyline, which was performed very well, though I did feel it did bog down the momentum of that season. But once more, those dramatic emotional heights were strived for throughout these 2 episodes, and all in all the acting performances were very strong. Elizabeth Tulloch once more brings such a mix of resolve, toughness and vulnerability as Lois, and I really believe that her interpretation is one of the best that we've seen on the big or small screen. The other most imposing performance here was by Michael Cudlitz as Lex Luthor, and he too carries a certain aura and physical stature about him. I'm still mixed on this more brooding, almost thuggish take on Lex Luthor, and whilst the revenge motivation against Lois is established, I would see Lex overall as somebody who would aspire to higher goals, looking to reassert his empire within Metropolis rather than just keeping base in Smallville and gaining vengeance on Lois Lane. I think Lex Luthor in his truer vein would look to take out Lois straight away, in secret, behind the scenes, getting more hired thugs to do the job whilst he's away in Metropolis, far away from any implication or suspicion. So these narrative beats were much more of a convenience to keep all of the characters in the same location within Smallville, again due to budgetary constraints, though it would be good to see Metropolis one more time as we saw before in previous seasons, and we did get brief glimpses once more in various flashbacks where we saw Lois and Clark in happier times together. Again, this was good in adding the emotional weight in terms of the suffering that Lois was going through during Clark's absence. But yes, we could poke holes in the episode. The ridiculous idea that Jordan wouldn't conceal his identity more convincingly. Surely he could have asked either John Henry Irons or Natalie to design a suit that would be more appropriate. And correct me if I'm wrong, did John Henry Irons disappear or go to a various location at the end of the 3rd season? His absence was also very apparent, particularly in Clark's absence. You would normally expect John Henry Irons or indeed Natalie to show far more support. Actual fact, we only saw Natalie for literally 2 to 3 minutes in the aftermath of the Doomsday battle. Now, I was glad in one aspect that we did have some people eventually come to the realization of Superman's identity and his connection with Lois. It just seemed far too obvious and too much of a suspension of disbelief that nobody would draw the connection, especially when we saw the way that Lois and the boys were mourning over Superman's body. And it did make sense that somebody who, even if they discovered the identity of Superman, would keep it concealed, considering all of the good work and hero saving that Superman has done in the past, and they did acknowledge this throughout the 2nd episode, so I think that did make sense in some capacity. I suppose the only other criticism were the certain effects during the Superman and Doomsday battle. Some shots did look a bit ropey and not as convincing, but you're always going to get that with these television shows trying to operate at a movie budget, especially when you're dealing with such highly powered superheroes such as Superman. As much as they try to generate the same amount of the big screen era as what we got from the cinematic counterparts, you're always going to get a lesson in quality. Though overall, I don't think these shots were too much to ruin the overall episode. I actually would have preferred a much more of a sustained battle sequence between Superman and Doomsday, but again, I understand because of the limitations, they wanted to spread this battle out throughout the episodes to make it seem as it was much more action-packed than what it actually was. So overall, a very satisfactory opener for the 4th season of Superman and Lois. I've always commented on this channel that I think overall it's a very solid, strong show. I've always liked the interpretation of Tyler Hoechlin and Superman. Whilst it may not be the definitive version, I do think overall this is a Superman that you can believe in as a much more hopeful, proactive, inspirational hero than what we've got certainly in the more recent movie iterations. And I've also always liked the chemistry between both Tyler Hoechlin and Elizabeth Tulloch as Clark and Lois, and again that makes the characters always that appealing. So hopefully Superman and Lois can go on to generate a worthwhile conclusion to the Superman story that they've been trying to tell before we move on to the eventual dawn of the new DC universe set by James Gunn and his Superman movie coming forward sometime in 2025. So those are my overall thoughts and feelings and review of the first 2 episodes of Superman and Lois Season 4. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you have any other further suggestions, movies, television series or any other topics within the pop entertainment and culture scene that you'd like to see me cover within the channel, then also let me know within the comments and I will see if I can provide further commentary for you on that subject matter within the future. Please also hit and like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves and I will see you very, very soon.